Have you ever found yourself locked in a power struggle with your kid thinking, ugh, why is this so hard? You're trying your best, doing everything you know how to do, and still the meltdowns, the yelling, the guilt. And maybe, just maybe you wonder, is it supposed to be this hard? Is it supposed to be this confusing? Imagine what would change if parenting was treated like the skill it actually is. Not something you're just expected to know, but something you learn, just like anything else. You're listening to the Lose Weight for the Last Time podcast, where we free the moms so that they can lose weight for the last time and live their best lives, maybe for the first time in a long time. I'm your host, Laura Conley, certified life and weight loss coach. And today we're diving into big, bold questions on what if parenting isn't intuitive at all? And what if realizing that is the key to not only raising happier kids, but also finding more ease, confidence, and space in your own life? This is so related to weight loss because I know so many of us find ourselves in the pantry after a long day looking for a reward because we just want to tap out. To help us explore all of this, I'm joined by my client and friend, Dr. Sarah Crystal, clinical psychologist turned parent coach, and she is just the best, you guys. She's actually been on the podcast in the past. She's on a mission to de-shame the parenting process and teach moms how to truly understand their kids without losing themselves. In this episode, you'll learn, number one, why parenting is a skill, not a personality trait, not something that is just intuitive, and how that realization can change everything. Number two, what's really going on underneath your child's behavior and how decoding it is like solving the emotional eating puzzle. Guys, this episode is so analogous. Parenting and eating healthy is so similar. And number three, how to meet your child's needs without abandoning your own. Oh, this is such a big one, even when your to-do list is never ending. We'll also unpack how boundaries, nervous system regulation, and ice cream, yes, ice cream, all play a role in raising grounded, healthy kids. So if you're ready to stop guessing and start parenting with purpose, stick around for this episode of Lose Weight for the Last Time. Welcome to the podcast, Sarah. I'm so happy you're here. You guys have probably heard Sarah on the podcast before because not only is she my client, but she's also a parent coach. So welcome, Sarah. Let's dive right in. How did you become a parent coach? Tell us like a little bit about why and how you got into all this.
Sure. So thank you for having me. It's very fun to be back, and especially in this capacity. Gosh, how did I become? So it's been, I guess, kind of a long journey, but I'm actually a clinical psychologist by training. So I got my PhD and I worked in the clinical world for many years. I was a child psychologist, so I worked mostly with kids, with family, with parents, but also with adults. COVID kind of shifted everything. My family expanded during that time, and I just kind of got really clear on like where I wanted to focus my energy and my time and kind of shift from the clinical world into the coaching space. And just like, I've always loved working with parents. Even as a child psychologist, I did a couple of like evidence-based interventions for parents and really loved that. But then again, with like COVID and the changing landscape and telehealth blowing up, I kind of just wanted to create something different, really accessible for families, and also be able to like meet the need for people who need this support, not just where I live. Like, one of the challenging parts about being a clinician is you are bound by your license, which I get makes sense. Like, that's a whole other conversation, but there's a lot of people who need access to really good, high quality services that maybe they can't find it in their state, or they're rural and they can't be in person, right? So kind of switching to the coaching space and being able to offer like really high quality evidence-based services online felt like really aligned, made sense. And so I've kind of shifted everything and now really just have a much more limited practice and business where I'm just seeing parents, just supporting parents as a parent coach. So it's been a fun journey. Yeah.
That's so good. So all parents of all kids?
I mean, pretty much, like it's funny because it ends up really being everybody. all parents struggling with all the different things that you can imagine related to being a parent. I would say mostly I see parents of kids, I don't know, let's say like 2 through 11, who are kind of struggling with like big behaviors. Maybe it's meltdowns, power struggles, not listening, not getting cooperation, aggression, like life just feels really chaotic, all those kinds of things. But it really could be anything. Like I also see parents who just maybe are trying to shift how they grew up and how they were parented and don't feel like they really have a roadmap or a blueprint or just like know what they're doing. You know, it just feels confusing and overwhelming. So yeah, I mean, it really can be all parents who are struggling with any of the things related to having kids and trying to raise them.
Ugh. Yeah, it's hard. It's like no joke. And I love what you were saying when we were talking and chatting and emailing, that like parenting isn't intuitive, it's a skill. So can you just, I mean, first of all, that's like super refreshing. Can you speak to that? It's not intuitive, it is a skill. Talk more about that for us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like a cultural myth that we've been fed, but I think somewhere this idea has been widely disseminated that like you just have a child and you just sort of intuitively like know what to do. I mean, I remember that as a brand new mom too, with like, it's the same thing we get said with breastfeeding, right? It's like this natural, intuitive thing that you just kind of know how to do. But it's just really not true. We really have no idea. And why would we? Because it's very specific. It's very specialized. That's the reason there are child development specialists and child psychologists, right? Like who deeply understand behavior and how to do these things. And not every parent is going to have that knowledge and that understanding.
Yeah.
So I think it's breaking down that myth and a lot of the shame and like the guilt around like, why don't I know what to do? Why don't I understand my child better? Like, why am I stuck? And helping people realize like, it's okay. You don't, it's okay that you don't know what to do. And then there's a lot of people who can actually help you build those skills and start to figure those things out. And so that's really, I think, where like my work and my job comes in, is just like, we do know a lot, right? Like we do have lots of different models and frameworks and ways to kind of understand child development and when things are challenging and what works best. There's a lot of knowledge and skill that that parents can gain, but there's no way you would just know what to do. Like, why would you? You've never done it before and nobody ever taught you. It's like any job, like every single job you would have has a specific training that goes along with it. And being a parent is absolutely no different. It's even harder.
Good. Yes. Oh my gosh. I do feel like that's so relieving. I mean, it's like we talk about in the Yummy Mummy. It's like nobody ever taught you how to actually lose weight for the last time. So like, no wonder you don't know how to do it, but you think you should know how to do it, just like with parenting or so many other skills. I've been kind of on a soapbox about marriage. It's like no one actually teaches us how to be married or how to have hard conversations. I just had someone on my podcast earlier today. We recorded about grief. Like nobody teaches us how to grieve. And here we are just shaming ourselves because we think we're supposed to know how to do all of these things and perfectly.
Yeah. And there's so much, I think, I don't know if I want to call it baggage, but conditioning or things that we've learned or that have happened to us in our childhood and the way that we were parented that might set us up to have it be even more difficult or more challenging. So it's like, there are just so many layers of things that make parenting complicated and confusing. And I think there is a lot of like guilt and shame and difficult emotions that go along with that can make people feel isolated and not know where to go or even want to get support. Again, because it feels like this like natural thing. I think just because we can birth a child, it feels like, I don't know, like we have this physiological or biological ability that then we've created this thing from us. Like we should just know what to do with it. And like, we can keep it alive. Totally. We can feed it. We can clothe it. Yeah. We can like meet basic needs. But once we go beyond that, it's a skill. It's something that somebody just has to teach you how to handle. And you would never know if you haven't been in that situation.
So what would your definition of parenting even be? Like,
oh gosh.
You know, like you just said something that really like hit a chord with me. It's like, okay, we can keep them alive and feed them and clothe them and bathe them. But beyond that, like, what is that? What does parenting even mean?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. I mean, honestly, I think it does look different for everybody. You know, like there's no one right way that you can parent your child. I would say there are some like pillars or like things that would be great if we all hit along the way as we're raising our kids. But I think parenting is really, it's like an action, right? It's like intentionally coming up with some sort of like framework or set of values, skills, ideas that you are communicating to your child, teaching your child, like ways that you engage with them. It's kind of like an intentional way of being and like raising a human being within that sort of framework and structure. But I think it's intentional. Like parenting is a verb, right? It's something that we do.
Yeah. Oh my God. Can you hear my kids screaming?
It sounds happy.
Yeah, they're happy. I mean, I think they're happy.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. It's so perfect.
It's like
perfect
squealing.
timing. Yeah. They're
Yeah,
like
it's like
squealing.
the happy squealing.
This is like perfect for the parenting perfect for the parenting podcast that we're doing today.
They're happy. They're having fun.
Yeah, they're happy. Okay, so you mentioned intentionality in terms of parenting. Like, I think this is something I actually had to come to grips with. Like, parenting takes time and it takes more time than like part of me wants it to take. I have to remember sometimes like, oh, Laura, like you signed up for this and you need to show up for these kids and like be present with them and take the time to whatever the framework is, impart your values or help them with their behavior or whatever. I don't know if you can, there's not really a question in that, but I wonder if you see that with your clients, like almost this mourning of like, or this grief of like, oh, I didn't realize that this was going to take as much time and space as it really should.
Yeah, that is very on point. I mean, I just had 2 conversations around that just today. They're like ongoing conversations that I'm having in Slack with the group coaching program that I have. So it's with 2 moms actually. And I think that's the reckoning.
Yes,
right?
such a good, that's the word. Yes.
I mean, it is. It's like, wow, this is a thing that takes my intentional effort and my time and some pre-planning and thinking through. And wow, I have to actually do some work on myself. So this is really the common pattern that I see, is that something is happening with the kid. There's like a big behavior, there's a crisis, something. And so that's what brings people usually to support, right? Like something's happening with my kid and this is a problem. And then once we kind of get into it, it's like, oh my gosh, wait, it's not my kid. Or yeah, okay, there's things happening with my kid, but it's also me, it's the system, right? Like we are in a transactional relationship in a system that all feeds off one another. And like, if I want anything to be different and to change with my kid's behavior, it really all starts with me and who I am as a parent, how I'm showing up.
Yeah.
So many layers of what's going on with me. And that is a really sometimes wonderful realization for people. Like sometimes it feels very empowering and very hopeful. Like, oh my gosh, wow, like this is actually something I have control over. If I can do things differently and learn some skills and like really have some insight and do some things with myself, I will have a huge impact on my kid. And sometimes it's also like, oh my God, like I didn't realize how much work I have to do.
Yes.
Or often it's a combination of both, right?
Yeah. It's like losing weight for the last time. It's like there's a reckoning like where it's like, oh shit, I can't eat whatever I want and weigh what I want. And if I want to weigh what I want, I have to spend time and effort and put some intention behind it. And I
100%.
think we're like maybe accidentally conditioned or programmed to think like parenting just happens throughout the day. But I'm realizing in my journaling practice, like something that's come out lately is like, I really want to carve out more time. And it's so hard because we all feel like we have no time, right? It's like constant, but it's like, okay, but this is the most important thing one of the most important things in my life. And so if that's true, like, yeah, I actually do want to spend like an hour at bedtime with my kids. And like, I do want to carve out more time in the morning to just present, more time to just play games. And I can fall into like the kind of productivity drug or the checklist drug because you guys don't need to know why, because it's probably pretty obvious for a lot of us. Like we all like, we feel like we have so many things to do and it's such a hit. It's such a high when I can check off, like order the West Elm pillows. Like that for me, I get more of a hit than playing on the ground with my kid. But ordering West Elm pillows actually isn't going to give me what I want in the end.
Yes. No, you're 100% right. I think that it's hard to get that same dopamine hit when we're doing things with our kids that like maybe it's a different lens. It's like a frame shift. Like we're not necessarily meeting our needs through what we put into our kids to meet their needs.
Oh, that's so good.
It's really hard. It's like, it's something we have to contend with. We have to, it's where the discipline comes in that I know you talk about. It's right. It's where we look at what are our long-term goals and our values for our family and for our kids.
It's the cupcake. It's the cupcake.
Right. And how do you not get short-sighted and skip the small things so that you can have the connection you eventually want with your kids, or for them to develop all these skills and wonderful qualities that you want in them. Like it takes some of that short-term. And I don't want to say we don't meet our own needs, because that's a different conversation. Like I think.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes. Like I teach that's a huge part of what I do focus on with parents is how to meet your own needs, but it's not necessary. It's probably not going to be through your kids, right? Like what meets your kids' needs is very important. And we do have to do that. But that's not going to meet your own needs. Maybe sometimes it is, right? Sometimes it does align when you have these like beautiful moments of connection with your children.
Yeah.
And it's just like that oxytocin is flowing and it's just like it really does like deeply fill your soul. But that's not all the time. We're going to get a lot of other moments too.
But I wonder if we do that as moms too. Like we think that we should get our cups filled by filling their cups. And then we shame ourselves because like that doesn't work. And we actually do need to take time for ourselves to fill our cups. What I've been like crazy about lately is filling my cup. I mean, well, you know, like I'm zealous about teaching that and also doing it for myself, because then I genuinely want to take care of my kids and help my kids and pour into them. It's not even like that I can. It's like I want to fill my cup up. It's so natural and easy for me to like be patient and sit with them through a temper tantrum, do another song or another. We're like into this meditation book. My kid Phoenix wants me to read like 7 meditations at night. It's so easy for me to say yes. And I genuinely want to say yes. It's not even like that I'm capable of it. It's like, it's just easy for me to say yes when my cup is full. So
100%. I mean, because, you know, being with our kids and doing those things for them and with them requires like 100% of us, I think. And so if we aren't at 100%, okay, fine. If we're at 90, like it's still going to feel okay. But like when we are at 70, 50, 20, God, 0, it feels impossible to give anything to our children. And it really is like, especially in terms of like the physiological and the nervous system needs that our kids have from us, right? Like when your child is having a meltdown, they actually need your nervous system to regulate their own. So if you are totally depleted and you have not met your own needs and taken care of yourself, you actually physiologically cannot give that to your kids. So you are going to feel intensely triggered and tapped out and be like, oh my God, like, what is wrong with this kid? Like, get them away. It's like a fight or flight response, right? You're just like, I can't do it with you right now. Yeah. So it's so true. Like we have to, as parents, meet our own needs outside of our kids 100%. And obviously that looks different for everybody. But I think, yes, there's also some sort of a myth. And I think it's broken down a lot more now. But
Yeah.
this idea that like, yeah, just being with your kids and being a parent and having your family, like that should fulfill you. And the fun outings that you do with them, like that's going to totally fill your cup. And like maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
And also, no, right? It is exhausting. Like I just had a wonderful Saturday with my kids where we went like on this whole day trip and we met our puppy to be, and like they had the best time ever. And like it was fun, but I was exhausted after, right?
Yeah.
Because you're the parent, you're managing all of the logistics and thinking about what everybody needs to just head different things off the pass, right? So yes, it was fun, but was it like capital fun? I got my needs met? No. And that's okay. I'm okay with that, right? I understand that. And then I have other ways, right, that I then come back and replenish myself and fill my cup. But I think people, you know, just in general, that's hard for a lot of people. And some of it's just it's a logistical thing, right? It's hard to carve out enough time during the day when you're working, when you're a parent. It's like, well, when do I do those things? What does that even mean? I don't even know, you know? And so that's a huge conversation that I have with parents. Like, what are your just like daily little boosts? How do we get that?
Yeah.
What are the different categories and buckets we're even looking to fill, right? Because everybody has different needs and different things that do like genuinely fill them up and replenish them. But my God, it's so important. It really is. It's just, it's a huge piece that I think we just kind of forget about, or we don't place enough value on as parents, that make us show up so much more capable and intentional with our kids.
Yeah. So what do you say to somebody when they're like, well, I don't have time? Like, that's nice, Sarah, for you, but like, I don't have time to fill my cup up. I don't like, how am I going to do that? Like, and not only I don't have time, but then I also feel like selfish and guilty on top of it.
I mean, I really like, it depends. I mean, I will just coach on that. I will just explore with somebody, you know, like honestly, there was a mom in my group who this is part of what she was saying to me. She's like, I just literally don't have time, or I feel like there's no time. And so we just explored that. I was like, so like, what is that like? Like, let's actually look at your day. And then like, I want you to tell me what are your thoughts around time? Like, I know this sounds kind of silly, but you will get it. It's like, you know, what are the thoughts that are making you feel like so pressed or so constricted? How are you thinking about your day? How are you thinking about what you need to get done? Because there's kind of two pieces, right? It's like, it's the logistics, like, are there things that maybe we shift in your day to day to actually free up more of your time? Yes, that's one. But then it's also like, how are you thinking? What's your mindset that's setting you up to feel so pressed and constricted and like, I just have no time? Because even though you feel like that's true, and it might be, that's also a thought, like I have no time. And so there are ways that we can kind of play with that to help you actually think about time and your day and your schedule in a way to like get you more time. Truly, right? So it's like, there's two ways. There's always like multiple ways that you can deal with anything, right? Some of it is like the how, or the what we're going to do. And some of it really is about like your mindset and your perception and the story you're telling yourself. And does that set you up to get what you want or not? And we kind of need to look at both and make some shifts around both. So that's usually what I do.
Oh, this is so good. Okay. So I get this question a lot. How do I talk to my kids about food? Or how do I not give them an eating disorder? This comes up a lot because a lot of us, like, you know, inside the Yummy Mummy experience, we're healing our relationship with food and our bodies. And most of the Yummy Mummies are on protocols or plans. They're eating in a way that they've chosen that's supportive of them and healthy for them, that they've decided. But some of the moms will get really, and I totally get this, will get really worried that they're going to like F their kids up, or they're going to like, their kids are going to interpret it as dieting, or their kids are going to interpret it as like, mom's not eating that, so maybe I shouldn't eat that. And we have this come up time and time again. And I'm curious your thoughts on it.
I mean, I think that's a really valid question. And really, always encourage parents to, I'm trying to think how I want to say this. It's like, we're focused maybe on like the why, like, why am I doing certain things? Checking in with kids' bodies, really around like, you know, satiety and like understanding what food does for you and how food makes you feel versus like what the food is, or labeling food good or bad or
Yes.
like healthy or unhealthy. Like in general, I just encourage kind of staying away from those labels, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think just explaining to your kid from that place, you know, like I have these conversations all the time with my kids, and we just like coached on this actually in the Yummy Mummy, right? It's like the reason why I don't have ice cream every night is because it just doesn't feel good in my body, right? Like I actually like feel sick when I have ice cream every single night. Sometimes I like it, you know, there's sometimes like I have space in my actual stomach and I really want it. And so I'll have it. But like for me, it's just not an everyday thing. Right. And like that's the same message I would hope that we're telling to our kids as well. Like, how do you feel in your body when you eat certain things, right?
Yeah.
Does something make you feel like good and satiated, or does something make you feel kind of like gross and weighted down, or you find like you eat that, you know, I talk about this with my kids all the time too, like certain foods really like fill you up and make you feel like you have energy and you can kind of go run around, or like you're good for 2 hours and you go play soccer. And other foods, you eat them and then you get like a really big spike of energy, and then you notice you kind of crash and you're hungry 20 minutes later. So depending on what you're doing, right, it might make sense to choose the foods that like, you know, give you that really good energy and really like fuel your muscles. So I think just talking to kids in that way. So you're really just helping them understand, like tune into their body really, and understand what different foods do for them, when, you know, why they make sense or don't make sense in certain situations. But it's not about like, you know, villainizing anything or making these like really super strict rules, because ultimately, you know, they'll need to figure that out for themselves.
Yeah.
And I believe in exposing kids to all different foods and all different flavors, and trusting that they will naturally be intuitive eaters if they have all of those options presented to them, right?
Yeah.
And then if we're modeling that things will, you know, they will sort of figure out their own path.
Yeah, I think it gets so like muddy for us because we're just so scared. And when we can do our own work, then it's so much easier to have these like more neutral feeling conversations. It's like sleep. Think about your sleep, your kids' sleep. If you talk about sleep, it doesn't feel so loaded. It feels like a normal conversation. Like, oh my God, I'm so glad you got such a good night's sleep last night, because remember the night before you woke up really early and then you had a hard time later in the afternoon when your friend was over and blah, 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 blah. Like it's.
Yeah, there's a lot of baggage with food, or it feels like there's a lot of baggage, or it's like very laden, but I don't think it has to be. I think that comes from our own insecurities and our own stories and our own experiences that we don't have to pass down to our kids, right? Like they're kind of blank when it comes to food and all of that. Like they're pretty much blank slates and open to however we set it up for them. So we can, you know, kind of choose to present it in a different way. I think a lot of time it's such a bigger parenting theme I see, which is just control. You know, I think as parents, it comes from a place of love. It comes from such a good place, like wanting to control everything for our kids, whether that's like in a sort of overpowering way, like wanting to control and quelch a challenging behavior, or just control the hardships that they experience in their life, or just like any discomfort, right? We really want to control it. Then we can't, you know, like we just can't.
We can have influence, but at the end of the day, we cannot hyper control. And when we try, that just backfires. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So it's the same with food. Like we can guide, we can help them understand, but I think ultimately, right, you have to relinquish. That's not to say there's not boundaries, because I actually do very strongly believe in boundaries, but that's different. That's, to me, that's not about control. Yeah. That's again about sort of guiding.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of parents out there that just want to eat their kids. Just want to let.
That is true. When you I love you so much, I want to eat you.
There's a lot
Also,
of parents that like they don't want to have any rules or boundaries around any food ever. And, I think that can backfire as well. It's like finding the middle path that works for your family, but their little brains are not developed. And I do think it's our job to help them to make decisions and to set some boundaries for them because if
Mhm.
we let them if we let them do it and we had all the food, they would just eat sugar every day all day.
Oh, 100%. And that, that was part of the conversation that we had too, in the group. It's like, without demonizing foods, we also know that certain foods just like don't set our brain up the best. Like sugar just like doesn't do wonders for our brain. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
it's that's like a fact.
Yeah.
So yes, of course, like if your child is having sugar constantly throughout the day, it's going to kind of mess up the wiring of their brain, the development. It's going to mess up their teeth. There are a lot of different things, right, that are sort of like negative downstream effects for that. So, of course, right, it's like it's balance, it's moderation, it's like picking and choosing so that they can, have experiences and be kids and get to choose for themselves. But we want to set them up for success.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, it's a disservice to at least Phoenix. Luna like does a pretty good job of regulating, but it's a disservice actually for him, for me to let him have whatever sugar whenever, because like he literally, he can't be himself. Like he can't, like my dad was like, he was bouncing off the walls at the movies. All he did was do somersaults. And we were like, well, what'd you give him? And he's like, protein. But it comes out that it was like Chick-fil-A with a strawberry shake, followed by like Sour Patch Kids. And we were like, yeah, no wonder. It's not like that he won't behave. It's like he can't behave,
He actually can't. No,
he actually can't. And it's a disservice then. And it's like, it's my job to be like, no, because then it just sucks for everybody.
Oh, 100%. That's part of like loving boundaries, right? We want to set our kids up for success. We want to prevent preventable challenges and like obstacles within reason. And that's part of that. Like we want our kids to be able to be the best versions of themselves. And for sure, when they're high on like pure sugar foods, they're not. And some kids are more sensitive to it than others, right? So it's also about understanding your kid, right? Like some kids really, if you like, you can look at their behavior and it's like a direct correlation to the foods that they eat. It's the same with sleep, right? Some kids just are wired differently that they need more sleep. And so when they don't get these things or when their nutrition is off, it's just like all bets are off for cooperation, for regulation. And imagine how bad that feels to them. That's sort of what I always think and what I always try to get back to with parents. Like think about what that must feel like in your kid's body to be that dysregulated and that out of control. Like that has to feel horrible, right? And so if we can prevent that, and sort of not have them be in that state, like they're going to be dysregulated about something else anyway, right? Like they're going to experience like those moments and resilience in other ways, but we don't need to sort of like set them up to have those like intense behaviors.
Yeah, because imagine how bad it feels for them. And then if we're not being the parent that we want to be, and we're like, come on, get it together. Why aren't you listening? Then it's like insult to injury. It's like pouring salt in the wound. It's a double whammy for them. Yeah.
And that's often the cycle, right? It's like our kid is, and this doesn't even have to do with just food. Like that's the cycle in general, right? Like we don't recognize, this is something I focus on all the time, but it's like we don't recognize what's going on beyond the behavior or underneath the behavior, right? So we come at it from a very unhelpful way. Like we look at it like, what is wrong with you? Or why are you doing this? Like we can't decode. We don't understand what's really going on. And so our responses to our kids' behaviors, oftentimes it's just to the behavior itself. It's not at like what's actually happening here at the root. And so we're never going to solve the problem. Like we just escalate it, we amp it up, we reinforce it. And it's just a cycle that's really hard to break until you can recognize like, okay, like what I'm seeing here is just like the tip of the iceberg. There's things going on underneath. And that's why this is coming out. Sometimes it literally is as simple as like nutrition and hunger and sleep.
But what do we do? Like, how do we get to the root? We can hire you, which we should all do. But like, what do we do to get to that root? How do we stop the cycle or interrupt it?
I mean, I think it's real. Like, first, you do have to kind of educate yourself and learn, right? Like, there's only a few things that are ever really underneath behavior, right? Like, so I guess first it's like, yes, learning what are those things that are typically underlying some of those big challenging behaviors that we see from kids. So the way I teach it is there's something called the behavior needs pyramid. And it's just like it's sort of a framework to think about behavior in like a hierarchy of our kids' needs. And so when you see something like you're seeing a meltdown or your kids are not cooperating or you're like in the midst of a power struggle, you always want to be thinking back to this framework and really shifting your lens and reminding yourself, like, I am looking at the tip of the iceberg. What I see, there's way more going on underneath this. And so we don't want to really be directly responding to the behavior. We're basically responding to whatever we believe is going on underneath that. So it's reminding yourself in that moment, like taking a pause and like, whoa, okay, what's really going on here? Like, I know I'm seeing meltdown. I know I'm hearing, I freaking hate you, mom. I know I'm hearing, I wanted a popsicle, right? Whatever it is. Like, that's what I'm hearing. That's the behavior. But what's really happening underneath and getting very curious and then sort of having the knowledge base underneath that of like what's going on. And really it's like basic needs are going to be your first thing to look at, right? Like we're talking about, has my child slept? Have they slept well? Is my child hungry? Have they had cereal and like Pop-Tarts all day? Or have they had any food that like nourishes their brain and body? I mean, for some kids, it's like safety, right? Shelter, like literally are my child's basic needs met?
Yeah.
Because if they're not, their whole body is off. Like they're just not going to be able to regulate their behavior, right? And then, okay, if they are, it's like, are my kids' emotional needs met? And those are things like connection. Do they have like positive attention, a sense of belonging, validation of like their emotions and their feelings, right? That's like a huge bucket. I always think of like that connection, attention, belonging bucket. And then do they have like autonomy and power and control in their lives, right? Like so much of what we see with like power struggles and kids refusing to cooperate is like they're not getting enough of that like autonomy, kind of power, control in their own lives, even from like 2 years old. And then a lot of times I go up another level too. It's like sensory needs, right? Kids have tons of different sensory needs that when they're not met or they're overwhelmed or understimulated, we're going to see all these behaviors. And then we have skills, right? It's like your child has to have the skills to do whatever it is that you're asking them to do or to meet the needs of the moment to like not have the meltdown or to like cooperate with you. So it's really about like having a deep understanding of like what might be going on for my kid and being able to tap into that in moments where they're really having a hard time and they're doing something unexpected or something challenging. And it takes practice, like no question. Like, again, this is part of like the work, right?
Yeah. This is just like emotional eating though. This is just like emotional eating. It's like, what is actually going on for me? Like, I'm not actually hungry. So if that's true, then what am I looking for here? What do they actually need?
And we're very not used to asking that question. It feels very uncomfortable. Like in our society, we're just used to like seeing the behavior, I think, and trying to modify the behavior.
Yeah.
Instead of like really pausing and going deeper and trying to understand what's happening at a deeper level and meet that need. And that's harder. There's no question. It takes more time. It takes being open to being inquisitive and curious. And I think especially as parents, it goes back to that time. I don't have time for that. I just need them to stop and get in the car.
Exactly.
You're like, I get it. I totally get it. And they will get in the car and things will smoothen out over time and you won't keep hitting this roadblock over and over and over again. If we finally go to the root, you got to get to the root, right? Like it's the same with overeating or binge eating, right? Like that's just the behavior that we see. But what drives that is layered beneath. And you have to be willing to get curious and dig and discover what that is and meet that if you ever want to see actual changes. So it's the same with your kids.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, it's so analogous because it's like, yeah, what's really going on? We have to solve for the root. And like, if we don't figure out why we're actually eating when we're not hungry, then we just keep dieting. It's just like, where we just keep telling them, just listen, come on.
Or we just punish them. We think,
Oh, yeah.
we come from a very consequence-driven society where it's like, and we can do it to ourselves. We can punish ourselves with food.
Yes.
We can speak, all that stuff where it's like we want to punish our kids. We want to take away their privileges. I mean, that's how schools a lot of the time run. And it's really sad. It's not helpful, honestly, at all. But I think taking the more bottom-up approach, that's what's really needed. But our structures, I think, and the way we think are not necessarily set up to support that. But as parents, we can do that, right? Like if we decide we want to shift the lens and we want to make real, deeper, lasting changes, we can absolutely do that. And I think we should. And I that's what I work with parents to do. But I get that it takes some deeper work, no question.
Okay, so we're like sold on the deeper work. Are there any like little quick wins or quick takeaways or quick parenting hacks where we could see a lot of bang for our buck, or like little tricks that you love? I always love to give people like a little takeaway or something that they can try or implement in their parenting.
I think that even I don't know if it's a hack, but I think the quick lens shift when you're with your child and you're seeing an unexpected behavior or something that is really challenging, of just stopping yourself for 5 seconds and asking yourself the question, like, what is really going on here?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what's the actually most helpful explanation of my kid's behavior? So I'm not just going to see this as like, why, oh my God, here he goes again, or he's so difficult, or why is he not listening? I'm going to stop and I'm going to ask, what is going on? I'm not even going to focus on the behavior. Like just taking that moment, even if you don't know what it is, your brain will like, when you direct it in that way, you will start to get curious. You will start to be like, okay, well, we've been out all morning and I've really been like demanding a ton of him. Like he's probably exhausted and just like over this, right? So that really shifts the way then that you show up and respond to your kid in that moment, probably with a lot more understanding and a lot more compassion, a lot less like yelling threats and trying to like overpower them, but probably like empower them and kind of support them. So I think that's one thing that I always talk about with parents, like just shifting that lens and asking yourself that question in the moment is really powerful. And then another like really quick and dirty kind of thing I always just talk about with parents is like validation and just like really being willing to look for and see and allow the emotions in their kids. So again, when it's like a big behavior or something like that, just being willing to think, what emotion is going on for my kid right now? Like, are they frustrated? Are they sad? Are they overwhelmed? Do they feel lonely? Right? Just like taking a minute and trying to like figure out what that emotion is and really validating that. Like sometimes that stops a meltdown or an escalation like right in its tracks. Like just being like, oh man, I know you wish you could have the popsicle. That is so frustrating, right? Just like, instead of like, I told you, we're not having a popsicle right now. Like dinner's over, or, whatever it is, right? Just like being willing to see. And again, it's like looking beyond the behavior or beneath the behavior and just like recognizing our kids having big emotions, being willing to kind of tune into that, label that, validate that for our kids in the moment. Often that is like a very quick and effective de-escalation technique for a lot of kids.
Oh, that's so good. Okay. You have to come back because I asked you like one question of my 15 questions. So we're going to have Sarah come back. But Sarah, tell us how we can find you, how we can work with you. Tell us all of the things.
Sure. So you can go to my website. That's probably the easiest, which is my name with doctor in the front. So Dr. Dr. Sarah, Sarah, Crystal, CRYSTAL.com. And you can kind of see what I do, learn a little bit more about me. You can follow me on Instagram. It's Dr. Dr. Sarah _parent coach. You'll easily find me on Facebook through any of those channels. And I have a group coaching program where I work with parents. I take some individual clients. But yeah.
Oh my God. It's so good. I literally love having you on this podcast. This was so fun.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay, you guys, go check Sarah out. Go hire her. You will not be disappointed. I'm sitting here thinking, I'm going to let go of my parent coach and hire Sarah. We'll have that conversation later. But anyway,
Okay, sounds good.
thank you so much. I love you. Okay, everybody, I hope you guys take a moment to pause and really just ask yourselves, what is it that they need? What is underneath all of this? I know I'm going to try that for sure. Okay, have the best week ever. Ciao, ciao.